Hello, and in this video, I'm going to break down some design work that I did to end the year in 2025. Every year, I always make some kind of thank you post or just like a thank you graphic of some kind every year, often in whatever art style has been like my most go-to thing of that year. And of course, I don't need to tell you that my most used style in 2025 was dithering, usually with some glow and usually with some kind of stars or lens flares. So yeah, I created this, which I'll show you on screen, and I'm gonna go over how I did this now in this video. Now, obviously I've already finished this piece of work because I did it at home just over Christmas period. So I'm not gonna be designing it all in front of you, but I'm just gonna break down how I did it. It's actually quite nice for once to do a piece of work without having like content in mind. It's not often I get to do that anymore. So now if you're new here, in this video I'm going to be using Dither Boy and Flareware as well as Photoshop. Dither Boy and Flareware are two separate applications, and I generally try not to have my tutorials be set up in a way where there's like multiple different things that you've got to buy, or I try not to have it work like this. So for like transparency, most of the work is going to be done in Dither Boy and then Photoshop. I used Flareware to generate some assets that helped me get there, but you don't need Flareware for this. Obviously, both of these softwares, they're my software. Like, I benefit if you do get them, but I'm going to just be honest and say you don't need Flareware for this. Although if you've got it, then it's a nice little bonus, but we're not doing anything too crazy in Flareware in this video. If you do want to get both apps, they're both one-time purchase. They both get updates. So we've got updates in the works for both of these, and there's no subscription and there's no AI features either. They're just standalone design apps that you can use with Photoshop or Affinity or Blender or, wherever it is you work. But anyway, to get straight into the actual video, I've got Photoshop open here where you can see my end product, my end result. The PSD file is a mess, so I just cleaned it up and I will cut that bit out. So I've got a pre-dither sort of preview here and the post-dither and post-FX result. So quite a lot here between these two. So I'll show you the pre first. We've got a lens flare and a heart with a load of layer styles applied to it. And that's it. So the flare's quite dim because it goes behind the heart, and then the effects I applied here in the layer style are mostly just to have some shape come through it in the dither. So you don't have to copy my exact settings here, but if you, whatever shape, if you were to do this with a heart, essentially when we dither, it's largely based on luminosity. So this section here that I'm adding the bevel and emboss to, the dithering will be denser and more tightly packed in these highlighted areas, and then it will sort of fade out gradually into this blue section. But the blue section won't be totally, undithered, or it won't just fall off into nothing, because there's still quite a bit of luminosity in this blue, but it will fade out into nothing for these black areas. And so the lens flare being behind the heart with the opacity set to 50, I've just done that to create the beams that you see coming off of the heart in the final image. So when you know what you're actually looking at, like, this is a pretty simple setup. But yeah, I just added plenty of inner shadows so that there is a bit of a fade out toward the edges. And then in bevel and emboss, all you want to do is avoid having anything crazy on the depth slider. Make sure your highlight opacity is set all the way up. I didn't need the shadows for this, but I could have left them on. And I also set up an inverted gloss contour here. So a lot of people, usually like people don't really look at this or know what it means, but if you double click on the contour editor, if you ever want to get a better understanding of what contours are or what gloss contour is doing, you can just move this around. So the reason I inverted it is because if we do this and set up, the regular one goes on the wrong side because of my lighting. If I click off here and go to the shading angle, I could have got it back around there, but I just didn't because I don't know. I guess I just was being lazy and just inverted this rather than correctly setting up my angle. I don't know. The quickest way is the way you know, and that's just how I wanted to do it. And then moving on to the flare. So in Flareware, if you load up the hexagon burst flare, that's what I've used here. And then all I've done is turned down the hex ring radius. So it looks quite cool when you blow it all the way out, but turn it down and then turn the sharpness down so you get these like extra beams, and then turn up the core radius. So in Flareware, these all use additive blending. I'm in radiant mode, by the way, not realistic. But yeah, these use blending that you don't have access to in Photoshop because like it knows that these are light sources. So yeah, you get this like really cool blend happening where the light accumulates. So by having a low hex ring radius and a big core radius, you get this big brilliant center outburst of light that just looks really cool. And you can do export overlay and make sure none of your flare is leaving the export region, but I didn't care for this because I knew I was going to be blowing it up in the background anyway. So I literally just exported that as a radiant flare, and that was it. Set to 50% opacity in Photoshop, and I loaded that into Dither Boy. So I covered this in the last video. It's a very similar effect to the orb I did in the last video on this channel. So if you've already watched that, we're just setting up that effect again, but I'll give you a quick rundown here, just a quick snappy version of how I got there. So we're going to turn down the scale of the waveform, we're going to up the contrast and turn down the midtones, turn down the highlights, and then turn up the luminance threshold. And then from here, we're going to up the wave density a little bit. And then in palette category, go to source and choose any of the source ones. So it'll pull in one of the colors from your image. Then click the effects tick box and go to epsilon glow, turn that on and give it a nice low threshold and turn up the epsilon just a little bit as well. And then also turn on the chromatic effects too. So from here, you can use the contrast and luminance threshold sliders to basically find a point at which you get like a nice pattern going through the heart. Now, if we go back to Photoshop and have a look at my original, it's quite smooth. It's not that glitchy in the actual heart itself, but it's the beams that come out here that have got the glitch effects kind of running through them. So if I go into Dither Boy and just focus on those, add a little bit of blur and work out, see some wave density sort of factors encourage the curves a little bit more. So if you see 5, it kind of, you can see the curves that are there if we turn off the chromatic effects, but it definitely seems like some of these, like 6 does, 7 doesn't, 8 and 9, we're getting a bit high there, but 10 looks quite good. So I definitely landed somewhere around 10, probably gone a little bit far with the max displace there. But yeah, this part of the process is really just trial and error. And what I would encourage you to do is go through this and export lots and lots of different like iterations so that you've got a lot to work with. Now, I already obviously landed on the one that I want, so I'm probably not going to export anything in this actual video, although this one does look cool. If we go back into Photoshop now and come to the post file that I made here before, let's just quickly organized what I did, and I'm going to run through the big stack of effects that I've got here. So this here is the actual export I got from Dither Boy, and if I hide that and then hide my background and then enable this first group that I've got here, what I've done is I've gone into the layer style and set up a blend if, and basically just chopped out all of the underlying gray values until there's just, well, you can't really see it. If I enable the background, you can see here I've basically used the blend if sliders to get rid of the background and most of the dither until we've just got these super highlighted bits. And then I've gone through and just set up a white drop shadow to act as a glow, just to isolate a bit more of the glow basically. So that's like the first pass of that. And then in the second pass of that, I will have allowed for a different section in the blend if, so that we're getting like basically a different part of the image glowing with the same stack of drop shadows, sorry. And then the final sort of layer of blending is just a desaturated version of these other two with a Gaussian blur added. So it tends to be that when I work like without thinking about the fact this is going to be a tutorial, I'll kind of just fuck around a lot more because I didn't think I was going to be making a tutorial out of this. So at that point, when I'd got here and I'd stacked all these different glow effects on top of the dither, obviously I'm left with this big ugly bit here, which I don't really want to come through in the final bit because there's no glow on it. So I literally just went over this with a soft white brush. And then now I've done all of that, if I sort of make visible again the original dither that I got out of Dither Boy, that's how you get this end result, which is what you saw at the beginning. So from there, because I already had these stacked up drop shadow glow style effects, when I started making my logo and text layers on here, I literally just copied those just to give it the same, like exact same glow calculation from the drop shadows. This is literally just Arial, regular text with Arial, nothing fancy here. Little basic curves adjustment just to make it brighter. I mostly did this to get get rid of the ugliness from the middle, and then a levels adjustment just to like pull that in so it's only really affecting the middle here. And I've just upped the saturation a little bit on this hue and saturation layer, just so the glow isn't as boring essentially when I do that. And then from here, we've added another assortment of flares. So these are also from Flareware. If I come back into Flareware, we're going to change from the hexagon burst to the anamorphic star. And then we're going to change the ray count, which is down here, to 6. And then just up the core radius a little bit, up the intensity as much as you like, really. Now for this one, I did show export overlay and just scale the flare down to make sure I was getting all of it in my export. I also used radiant mode as well, because if you're going to be putting it in Photoshop anyway, you may as well use radiant mode so that you can just change the blend mode to screen. So I exported basically this. I think I've maybe gone and removed the color from it in the version that made it into the poster, but yeah, I've exported this and literally placed all of these by hand, which I know is a little bit tedious, and I can't really give you, I'm just moving them so you can see I did place them by hand. I can't really give you a guide on placing flares by hand because obviously it depends on your preference and on your image and whatever you're working with. But basically a very dumbed down way of putting this is if the light source or the source of the flare is close to the camera or big, use a bigger flare. If it is further away from the camera, or the further away from view, or if it's a smaller light source or reflection or whatever, then use a smaller flare. And that's about it. What I've done after placing them the first time is I've just duplicated the entire thing as a group and then added a Gaussian blur, and then I've masked out certain parts from the Gaussian blur so that basically the further up and closer to the heart that you get, the more blurred the flares will be. So the flares down here are much sharper than the flares here in the middle, essentially. Finishing touches I added were this is a star overlay from an asset pack called Lens Flare Kit that I created. But if you're watching this video, there is a good chance that you've got Dither Boy, obviously, because we use Dither Boy. This is a Dither Boy tutorial primarily. What I will do is I will go and put this asset in the Dither Boy Discord. So make sure you join the Dither Boy Discord. If you go to extras and click on Discord, you can also join from Flareware as well. So extras and Discord. I need to stop calling it the Dither Boy Discord because Flareware people are in there too. And lastly, I added a final hue and saturation layer with colorize on set to blue, and then I've added some advanced blending to basically stop the hue and saturation from applying to the red and green channels. So you can see as I untick these two channels here, some of the chromatic aberration from our original Dither in Dither Boy comes back. And then instead of having the blend mode set to normal, I've changed it to lighten, but I probably didn't need to do that. I don't really know why I did that. Probably did that before I changed the RGB thing. But as I said, like a lot of the time when I'm designing from home, I'm just kind of like locked in and messing around and experimenting rather than thinking, how will I explain this in a tutorial? But I like to make sure that anything I do in Dither Boy gets a tutorial. So yeah, I wanted to just make sure I covered how I went from this to this using Dither Boy and Flareware. So yeah, that's that for this video. As it says on the poster, thank you for supporting in 2025. Hopefully you found this useful. I know I ran through some of this a little bit quickly, but it's just because you can get really bogged down if you go over explaining all the details and stuff. But if you spend a bit of time experimenting in the Dither Boy phase of this, you can get some really cool results. And obviously you can go and add like turbulence or caustics or whatever to your flare if you want something more interesting than what I got. Yeah, there's plenty to like go back and experiment with once you finish a tutorial if you want to. But yeah, more stuff like this coming. Let me know what tutorials you want to see. Both Flareware and Dither Boy have big updates coming. I think the next update for both of these apps will be pretty big, similar in size for both apps, and obviously they will be free for, if you've already got them, they're free for all existing users. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video.